So let's transition a little bit into kind of the AFC North. I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. I think this year the NFC East is going to be playing the AFC North, the way the schedules rotate out. So I'm going to have a lot of interest in this. So my thing with Pittsburgh right now is that they're kind of like the Patriots, but at least they still got their guy in Ben, but they also don't have any answers. And like the quarterbacks, I think behind Ben aren't even just bad. They're just awful. Like they're not even something that Tomlin could overcome last season. It really held them back, even with the great defense that they have. So if you're Pittsburgh with that offense, James Conner didn't have the year that you expect. Juju Smith-Schuster didn't have the year that you expect. You pretty much learned on offense outside of Big Ben, you don't have anybody that can be an engine on that offense to start some production. What do you do if you're Pittsburgh without that first round pick? Is there somebody they should look at, or should they look at trading into the first round to get a quarterback in order to kind of have that kind of situation solidified?
I think Big Ben Roethlisberger is going to come back out of shape, and he's not going to be football ready, and he's going to look real like strange out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he might get benched. I don't know, but I thought he was going to retire last year. Yeah. And if you thinking about retiring, you should just go ahead and retire. I mean, because you just ain't got everything in it like you or whatever. So if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm approaching this as if I don't have a quarterback, but you ain't got a first neither. So if I'm Pittsburgh, hey man, you just draft the best player available and see how the season turns out. And if you end up being terrible to end up in that race to go get sunshine, then you just in that race to go get sunshine. But I just think the Steelers draft wise, they're in the same kind of situation that Houston is in, that they just did so much with their draft picks that they're not able to maneuver anymore. They gave away so much ammo that they're not able to move around if they wanted to. Yeah. So I don't see Pittsburgh trying to move up in the draft or anything to try to get a guy. I just think they're just going to end up being bad this year. I think they should make a decision like today on Ben, because if Ben comes back, I think his ceiling is 8-8. And if you draft him, you don't want to necessarily be 8-8. Like you either want to be in the playoffs, you want to be flat out terrible to get one of them good guys. 8-8 ain't good. So I think they should make a decision on Ben and see where he's at, because I don't think he's all in, but he in there for the check. Maybe he's in there to save face or just to be leader guy. I don't know, but I don't really think there's anything they could do. They don't have enough capital to move around a little bit.
Are any of these running backs somebody that you would think would be kind of somebody you can rely on for at least a year or two offensively, or like a J.K. Dobbins or DeAndre Swift? Do you think there are any of those running backs are that caliber of a back?
I think all of these backs are fantastic. Well, not say all of them, but I think you got 5 backs in this class that you can bring in and they can be fantastic on their own. But that's running back though. That's just running back nowadays. You know, in the right system, any running back can be great. I mean, look at the running backs in the, Super Bowl this year. Just so any running back can be good. But I think highly of DeAndre Swift. I think he's a bell cow guy. Clyde is a bell cow guy. Dobbins is a bell cow. He's a little bitty. He's a little bitty, but he's a big muscle if you look at him.
Yeah.
I think he is a bell cow guy. Jonathan Taylor, if he don't fumble so much, like 14 fumbles, I believe. If he didn't fumble so much, that's a bell cow guy. DeMarco Murray type dude. Big physical, one gap. He keeps it play side. He runs people over. He gets in the open field. Big burst. He can be bell cow guy. Cam Akers is another guy that I really like. He ain't, he's not being talked about as much as other guys, but Cam Akers has the ability to make room on his own. I think that's the most underrated running back trait. When your offensive line is terrible and you can create space with your own feet, with your own abilities, and then proceed to be good. Cam Akers is one of those guys that I think can be fantastic. Are any of these guys Saquon Barkley? No, sir. Absolutely not. But can they be running backs that'll come in and they can get constant work, get about 1,200 yards for you? Sure, absolutely, indubitably. And if you the Pittsburgh Steelers, add them to your running back rotation, and they eventually take over one day.
Yeah. All right. So the next team, they had such a good regular season, and such a dynamic offense last year, the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like hard to pick them apart because they did so much well last year. But if I talk to Ravens fans, they worry about wide receiver. They also worry about linebacker with some of the losses that they had this season, this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the GM of the Baltimore Ravens, what are you kind of looking at to kind of shore up your spot at the top of the AFC North?
Well, the Ravens are going to constantly draft people and not sign people. So they're gonna get offensive linemen in there. They're gonna get linebackers in there. They're gonna get pass rushers in there. So at the back of the first round, you got plenty of guys that can do that. Zach Bond from Wisconsin is the guy that I mock to them because they like guys like him. He's a guy that can play linebacker and can play edge guy. So I think he's probably one of those guys that they'll probably be looking at from a defensive defensive side of the ball. I mean, and if you want to look at like second, third round guys, I mean, Bradley and Nye is a guy. Josh Uche is another guy from Michigan. Like they got options. They got options in terms of pass rushers and linebackers or whatever. In terms of offense or whatever, hell, if they want to go receiver, this is one of those drafts where you can just kind of go receiver. I'm not one of those people that say receivers so rich that you can find them in the fourth round. I'm not one of those guys. Because I believe in the best players being the best player for a reason, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm not passing up on a really good receiver just to say I can get one in the fourth round, because I think the drop off from the first round receivers and the second round receivers is incredibly far from the fourth round guys. So if they end up taking a receiver in the first, second, or third round, sure, they would get a good guy. Would he be a plug and play kind of guy? I don't know. Depends on who you get. I mean, I may draft better than the Ravens. I don't know. Whatever. But it's a lot of ways they can go. But the best thing about the Ravens, the luxury that they have, is I think that they have a team that can line up and play today. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily need anything right now. So whatever they draft is just going to help them in the future.
Yeah. Then one thing while I have you on here is, what do you think about this notion that a lot of people have with the Baltimore Ravens because of how their offense is, that like they can be figured out? Like I don't see anybody talking about like they can figure out the Chiefs offense, or even like when Brady was doing his thing. But when it comes to the Ravens, there's a lot of people who just seem like they can figure this thing out and that's going to implode. What are your thoughts on kind of that line of thinking when it comes to the Ravens?
There's no such thing as an offense that can't be figured out. Mm-hmm. X's and O's, every offense is the same somewhere. Everybody does something similar somewhere. Everybody has stolen a concept from somebody somewhere. Where there's an offense that something exists, there's a defense that can beat it. Mm-hmm. It's like if there's a defense that exists, there's an offense that can beat it. It's just all about your pieces. Yeah, it's all about your pieces. So, you know, you can run a particular type of offense with Josh Allen, but that offense looks a lot faster if Lamar Jackson is the conductor of that train. You see what I mean? Yeah. You know, you may have a heavy passing type of offense to where, okay, Baker Mayfield is gonna pass the ball and give the ball to Chubb sometimes, but that looks a little different when Pat is playing quarterback and whoever the hell else playing running back for, you know? So it's the pieces that make offenses different, not necessarily the X's and O's of it. The Ravens don't do anything necessarily special. Mm-hmm. Some of the concepts that the Ravens are running now, we was running in high school when I played. You know what I mean? It's just that the level of talent that they have doing it and the puzzle pieces that they have is what makes them, you know, kind of weird to stop.
Yeah, that's why I agree with you there. I just think people talk about the Ravens as if like they can, we just figure out this one thing and we're to put a linebacker, we can stop the whole thing. Like, no, Lamar Jackson, you can't figure that out. Like, that's the problem. It's not how to stop the pistol. It's how to stop Lamar Jackson, who's just one of the freakiest athletes that's played this game.
If let me give you just a real good example. Give me like 30 seconds. Like if the Ravens had any other quarterback, like just any other running, if the Ravens had Jalen Hurts, that offense would look different. Yeah, that offense would look totally different. But the fact that it works in that way is I gotta have a quarterback spot. Lamar can run. That's one away from the coverage or whatever. I gotta add another dude in the box. It's one dude away from coverage. I gotta have a dude just in case he gives Ingram the ball as one less dude away from coverage. When you find yourself in one-on-one coverage, Hollywood Brown can run really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, now we got to put some safety help on Hollywood. We got to take somebody from the middle and put him over on Hollywood Brown, but we got to keep this guy in the middle to come and watch Lamar Jackson. And while you coming down watching Lamar Jackson and you moving over to watch Hollywood, there's a guy behind and to the left of him that ain't watching Andrews.
And he's always wide open.
Now Andrews is easy. So if you say, all right, cool, I got to take that safety off Hollywood Brown to watch Andrews, but we got to keep a spot on Lamar. Cool. I'm just going to throw it to Hollywood again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't the X's and O's. It's just the combination of players. So what you need to do is to find a player combination that can defeat that.
Yep.
Somebody going to end up drafting Isaiah Simmons, who's a guy that can quarterback spot and play deep thirds at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a chess piece for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The Tampa 2 ain't different, but Isaiah Simmons being the Mike in the Tampa 2, it's like having a third safety out there. So, you know, it's the players that makes this thing different, not the actual scheme.
Definitely. And then talking about players, we can get to Cincinnati real quick. With Joe Burrow being there, I mean, like if you look at that roster that they're going to have there, the offensive line's a big question mark, but they're going to get Jonah Williams back from injury. It was their first round pick last year. They have AJ Green on the roster. They have somebody who's speedy, may be able to get use from a better quarterback like Joe Burrow in John Ross. They also have Tyler Boyd. They also have Joe Mixon. They have some pieces on offense, and this is a team that was competitive 2-3 years ago with these pieces. Joe Burrow going in there would probably be an upgrade from Andy Dalton. So with that being said, what does the future look like for the Cincinnati Bengals?
You should be worried. You should be worried. The one thing that can kind of give you a little bit of hope is that Bengals gonna Bengal. That's the one thing that'll kind of give you a little bit of hope. Like you just can't expect them to draft well and to do the right things. We can say things that make a little bit of sense, but somebody in the National Football League is going to do something that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to hope the Bengals end up doing that and that they just stay incompetent. I don't want to hate on nobody because they got daughters and wives, and I don't want to hate on nobody, but there's no reason why you shouldn't draft Joe Burrow first. Like get a guard at like 33 or something to keep him even more clean.
Mm-hmm.
Explore the wide receiver conversation. Just explore it, just to see what's going to happen. Joe Mix is fantastic. Bring him back. Then get a running back that can kind of compliment him, and then just whatever you do, just keep that defense good. The Bengals got a good defense. Their offense was just so bad that it put them in bad spots. The Bengals got guys on defense, and just continue to put players on that defense. Joe Burrow may not make noise year one, but if you look at the kind of talent that he had in college and compare that to the type of build that the Bengals are in terms of, okay, I got a route runner, I got a number one guy, I got a speedy dude, I got a running back that can run and catch the football. Make sure I'm protected. Make sure the offensive scheme makes sense, and make sure my defense is doing defense things.
Mm-hmm.
If Joe Burrow is the player that I think he is, you probably got some worries with the Bengals.
That is interesting. And then you go to Cleveland,
very
good roster. Baker Mayfield up and down second year, mostly down. Throws a lot of turns the ball over a lot. And I know a lot of them came off of the hands of defensive backs, but he also threw a lot of balls that were dropped by defensive backs. What do you think is going to happen with Baker Mayfield coming into year 3? It looks like he's going to be in an offense that's going to rely on him less to throw the ball than what they did last year. I know your thoughts on Freddie Kitchens probably going to factor into this, but just your thoughts on what Baker Mayfield's going to be able to do here in a different offense with the pieces that he has around him. And will he be able to bounce back from what was a very disappointing year 2?
The more you run in burning buildings, you heighten the likelihood that you get burned.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Your quarterback made a lot of mistakes because he wasn't held back from making those kind of throws.
Yeah.
We always talk about, when we talk about quarterbacks, being on schedule. Being on schedule. Are you on schedule? Are you on schedule? What made Baker a really good rookie quarterback is he had a schedule. And he stayed on that schedule. We're not going to throw the book at Baker.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to make him throw throws that he's good at, and we're going to keep him on schedule. Gonna make that kind of throw, make that kind of throw, that kind of throw. Somewhere, somebody got too big for their britches, and they said, "Man, we got Landry and Beckham, and we got all this little time. We got Njoku, we got Tonio or whatever. We just gonna run out there and fly and be the greatest show on turf." No, stop running and burning buildings. You get burned. Am I saying to not be fearless? Nah, you got Odell Beckham. Be fearless, but throw the ball to Odell Beckham sometimes. Throw safe passes to Odell Beckham sometimes. Odell Beckham can turn slants into touchdowns. We know he can do that.
Yep.
Throw some slants at him. He ain't always got to do post corner stuff. He ain't always got to run technical nuance routes or whatever. But if Baker is giving you problems in the nuance quarterback department, take away some of that nuance. There's no reason Josh Allen can make the playoffs and Baker Mayfield can't.
Yeah. And the thing that I noticed with Baker Mayfield, at least this year, is that it just looked like he was consistently out of rhythm. Like he consistently felt like something was off. Yeah. And then he had those moments during I think the game against Baltimore, week 4, where he looked at he was at his best, was he just was on schedule, in rhythm. And when he's like that, he's accurate. He is very smart with the football, makes good decisions, can move a little bit, throw on the run. But the second he gets thrown off rhythm, it starts to become like, he starts to do a little bit too much. He starts to try to make a big play when the play ain't there. And then that's when we get to the turnovers.
And it's your job as the head coach to say, okay, let me run the ball right here. Mm-hmm. I don't think Chubb got enough carries last year. That's just my opinion. Run the ball right here. Let me throw a slant. Let me throw a bubble to get back on schedule. Instead, if you throw an interception, you're a Browns fan. You can, if you throw an interception, you would try to make a big play to get that interception back.
Yep. It just falls into a cycle.
That ain't how football works. If you throw an interception, you throw another small play, build your momentum back up, then make the big play.
Yeah.
That's how football works.
Yeah. But yeah, with Baker, just once that first interception happened and he get a second one, then they start to pile up on each other. Mm-hmm. And overall, if you look at this AFC North division, has the potential to be crazy good. I mean, Pittsburgh, they still have that very good defense. They can prop up Big Ben. Baltimore was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. Cincinnati has amazing potential if Joe Burrow is who people think Joe Burrow is going to be. And in Cleveland, obviously, with the roster they have, somebody's got to bust at this point. Somebody's got to buckle because these are all teams that look like they will have the ability not to be below 500, but somebody's got to buckle.
Sure.
Who do you think's the best bet of these 4 to buckle?
It'll probably be Cincinnati. And let me just say this also to be clear. Just because I think highly of a player, I think there's a developmental period that we should consider. And mine is 3 years. Mm-hmm. I hate when football, and it's all football fans, when I say, okay, cool, I really like Joe Burrow, and he throws 5 really good passes in damn preseason, and I was like, oh, Joe Burrow, let's give him a nickname like Danny Dimes. Let's give him a nickname. Joe Burrow. Relax. 3 years. 3 years is my mark. Hey, y'all as Browns fans, sure, Baker gave you a good freshman campaign, but what's the sophomore year like? 3 years. So just relax. I'm talking highly of Joe Burrow, but Joe may not be Joe until year 4. I'm talking about all these offensive linemen, everybody needs time to develop, man. This is the National Football League where you the best of the best of the best, sir. Everybody is not just going to come out the wrapper ready to play right now. Shaquille Barrett led the league in sacks last year. He ain't done nothing for 7 years in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just exploded.
So let's not use this year as the barometer of how good these prospects are going to be. Look at your draft picks from 3 years ago, then look at this year and grade those guys and just stay 3 years ahead of yourself.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out this year, with the tackles, with the quarterbacks, and then with the AFC North. Just a lot of intriguing things. Fingers crossed. If we have a season, hopefully we'll have a season.
Hope we do.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out. But Voch, thank you for coming on here. Very, very interesting and insightful conversation we were able to have about football. Let them know where they can find you, man.
Voch Lombardi, everything. VochLombardi. Find me on YouTube. I break down draft prospects, the big film. I don't just watch highlights and guess. I don't go to PFF and say, hey, they said this, maybe we should say this. I have my own mind and my own opinions, and I back it up with context. Come find me and let's talk about it.
Definitely. You got to check him out. I watch him. Everybody should watch him. He's one of the premier guys on this planet.
You're right. On the planet.
Yeah, on the planet. All right. We're on the planet.
You lying, nobody.
All right. So real quick before we go, I want to know, who's your sleeper? Everybody has one. Who's the guy that you kind of like really like in this draft that you don't feel like people are giving their due to?
There's a defensive tackle that you're probably going to find in the 5th round or so, a guy named Brevion Roy from Baylor. He kind of, I have a soft spot for anybody that's big as hell and can move really well. And he's one of my guys that I think is just going to be fantastic. Another guy, wide receiver. I got 2 wide receivers actually. Van Jefferson from Florida. He's not really a sleeper, like the deep draft fans know of him. He's the best route runner in the entire class, even better than Jerry Jeudy. Go watch his film and all that. He beat up on the best cornerback in the nation last year, Derek Stingley. To where Derek Stingley smoked everybody. Nobody got off on Stingley. But when they played Florida, Van Jefferson kind of, little boyed him a little bit, sat him down a little bit. So go watch him. And Jawan Jennings. I don't know if Jawan Jennings is necessarily going to pan out in the league. He's a wide receiver, plays for Tennessee. But he's a big receiver, and if you watch his film, nobody tackled him at all. If you watch his Missouri game, South Carolina game, nobody tackled him at all. So look at Jawan Jennings versus for Tennessee. Those are my 3 sleepers that I always bring up.
Definitely. I think the Browns are going to have to take a look at that defensive tackle because they definitely need some help inside there. But again, Voch, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. And hope you come on again, man.
Indubitably. Salute. Appreciate y'all. Shouts out to Brown Reddit.